Yeah, they can hear us now. If they can hear us on the stream.
All right. Let's jump back.
So, what we were talking about was feeder team blues, and at the risk of pissing people off, a lot of parents are being sold a bill of goods regarding the entire concept of feeder teams.
I shared a quick story that somebody came to me and said that they got their first grader got cornered.
Yeah,
this happened to me. My partner cornered that if they first grade joins and for the next 8 years, they'll be a guaranteed varsity starter.
That's not realistic,
like at all.
So that's kind of where the story was before. I think one of my drivers crashed and we didn't have any sound. This is the reality. The idea that people are going to win without competing is something that we've seen a lot in youth sports, where you get on this feeder team, it's going to grant you magic access to teams that your skills normally wouldn't translate to. Just because you've been on a feeder program does not mean that your kid is a shoe-in for any position on that team. And we got to be real. And when I say it's a bill of goods, I mean it's an absolute bill of goods, because we feel that a lot of parents are putting a lot of outside weight on feeder team success. Some even really get super salty when their kids keep getting beat by the same team over and over again. And they end up building up this one-sided rivalry, specifically with our teams, because we beat y'all every single time. And since you're a feeder program, you guys think you're the cream of the crop or you're the best kids. And a lot of times, even some of these state teams, let's be honest, these teams that have gone to state, their kids come from outside the district.
Oh, 100%.
So
100% they come from outside the district, and like a district or outside of the feeder team, which is okay. That to me, I like that. I like that. To me, that's the old school. I'm putting the best 10 kids that show up to tryouts and do summer workouts on the team.
Right.
That's how you win. We talked about this. Now, there are feeder programs that you do have a top-notch program that's playing in platinum and gold and beating the rest of these teams. Now, that probably makes sense for you to be a part of that, right, because you might be part of that freshman A team, because you're doing freshman A, but that's very rare.
That's not everybody's reality. And
right.
A lot of times we assume that everybody's optimum situation is what our situation is, and that ain't true. You don't have to be on the feeder team to make some of these teams. You got to be the best player in the gym. Yeah. You got to come in more skilled, more prepared, and more game aware, more game savvy than the other kids that are there. And you have more of a chance to make these teams than being the seventh man on your feeder program. It's just not realistic. And so understand, some of the feeder coaches are more in line with turning out a product that the high school coaches want access to.
Right.
Some of them just want to win games and hold up trophies and medals. And for us, we look at it like trophies and medals are great, but they can't be the goal, because I can literally go buy a trophy or medal for like $17.
I applaud. We both, it's not a complete bash, but it's a realistic. I applaud the feeder teams that are honest.
Right.
They're honest. With any team, but the feeder team especially, because you're everybody understand the feeder team concept is it's your feeder team is connected to a high school.
Right.
High school. If for sure you could look at those kids in the eye and say, I am taking all 10 of you guys. I've heard this conversation. I have heard this, and you're all going to be on the team. And it happens. You were honest. You're honest. But I have got kids from feeder teams that they showed up to me and they shook my hand. I've been a freshman coach, I'm a high school coach. They're like, I'm ready to make freshmen. I look around, I'm like, there's 75 kids in here. And you were first late to practice. You were last one down the court, and you're struggling with every single drill. Mm-hmm. Well, I was on a feeder team.
Congratulations.
I can only suggest 10 kids. Me and the 5-6 coaches that are right here. I don't know if you're even in the top 50, right now. And so that those same kids that I kind of suggested didn't, I've gotten emails back from parents. And this is real talk. And a couple of my high school coaches know I worked in real talk. They're like, hey man, that were mad at me, wanted to go off on me. Send me messages that were kind of odd. I'm like, my kid did this, and I'm like, I don't know what that feeder tree program
Right.
promised you. It's an eye test. You came to tryouts, you blew every wide open layup that you had. You were last one back. You pouted. You didn't do what was said. It goes, you turn your back. You didn't look like good night. You look like somebody that doesn't want to be here or be on a team.
Right.
No matter what happened in the past, coaches can't live on what you did 4 years ago. Like, I hit a game-winning shot in second grade for my feeder team. Wow, it's ninth grade. What have you done since? Well, not a lot.
Well, I bought this juice cleanse, and all it did was make me crap my pants. It didn't magically make me lose all this weight. Well, it made you lose the weight. It's not the way that you wanted it.
Right.
The feeder team made your wallet lighter. You absolutely paid for the experience. You got to play all the games.
Right.
Some of them you were mostly on the bench. But the one guarantee that you bought into, they cannot deliver on. They can't make a coach at the high school level or even the middle school level, they can't make them take your kid.
No.
They have no authority to do that.
Especially your programs that are considered
your top performers.
Just how it's been. You got about 3 to 4 schools within the last 10 years have been always in the mix or in the hunt.
Right.
So if they're always in the hunt and your kid is not part of that plan and it's not taking it serious, they'll move on without that kid.
Is the coach holding them accountable? Is the coach doing the things that a high school or college coach would do?
Right.
Are they holding them to the same standards? Do they have the same performance expectations of them?
The time goes too quick in basketball and high school and middle school. And if you're not ready, you're depending on this magical pill that the feeder team was going to give you, and it's not going to happen.
Right. And here's the other questions, like, are they even running the same? We've run into this.
Yeah.
Are they even running the same system the high school's running? If they're not running the same system the high school's running, and it's just some coach running plays that he figured out on 2K,
right?
Your feeder team ain't delivering, bro. And you need to have an honest conversation. Like, is this, or do I need to seek other options? Because there's lots of teams out there. There's lots of, we're not the only program doing this. The T&E and all these other programs out there that are doing this in the trenches on a day-to-day basis, working their butts off to make their kids better.
They're preparing these kids. There's a lot of great organizations out here. We're not saying that, but don't live and die by feeder team. One, unless I'm mistaken, most of them don't play in the summer.
Right.
So they don't play in the summer. In the summer, you're finding either a local select basketball team, you get selected, or you're paying for an AAU team. So you're like AAU team where you travel a little bit and play some competition. If you're not doing that, which feeds you stop, tell me what you're doing past March.
Right.
So I'm like, not but they're not. They're not. And I mean, they're not structured to do that. So that's your end all be all. I'm gonna wait every time until they start and finish. There's too much of a gap to depend on that. The high school coaches, some coaches say they don't like AAU. They say that. Mm-hmm. They say that until you get the summer league, and they're like, you know what? That kid that plays some ball cooking right now. He's leading the team. He looks like he's been playing.
I'm going back to the old conversation. You can't disappear and decide you're going to lay up all summer and then turn around and walk into somebody's tryouts and think that you didn't work on your game, you didn't get stronger, you didn't get faster, you didn't work on your conditioning, and do any of the skill work. You didn't go back and ask the coach about what you could have done to be a better player, be the player that they need. You didn't do any of that stuff. You're not going to take from – and we've seen kids that do this. You're not going to take – if you didn't make the team last year, you're not going to take from March to November off, walk into that same gym and expect to make the team. It doesn't work like that. And a lot of times the promise of the feeder team is that if you're not playing in the summer, you're not training in the summer, you not have any kind of structured training, either you structure it or you pay somebody like us to help structure it. Right. You're not doing any of that stuff. You're not going to make the team if you don't put in the work. And the feeder team for a lot of people, it's the promise of, I'm going to shortcut the line, I'm going to jump over everybody, I'm going to win without actually competing. It doesn't work like that.
Here's a good way to check out levels too, because there are some fair teams that are playing gold, platinum, that are like running through people. They do a really good job of doing it. But look at what level you're in. Look at what level. Let's say 8th grade. 8th going to 9th. Why is that important? Because now you're dealing with high school coaches. High school coaches have to absolutely, your job almost depends on it to get better each year.
Right.
To get better each year. Or you're replaced, or you're in the hot seat. You're in the hot seat. So I have to take the 10 best kids from my freshman A, my freshman B team. JV can mix a few of them there. I got my varsity guys. I got my reserve guys from some school. So I'm looking at maybe 50 kids. Want to match all those levels that are the best fit for my program that can actually play and win games. So if that's not what you are, because you've been playing in Bronze D,
yes,
which is fine if you know that. But just know the kids you're going to play have been playing in platinum.
Right.
In high school. So that same kid that's your neighbor that's out there grinding, she's probably 3 steps ahead of you because there's been a nonstop dedication to getting better, to training, to getting stronger, to getting faster, to make the team over you, you, and you.
The kids out there that are working to be better than you.
Right. In March, most field teams stop. That's a fact. Here's the other part. There are conversations where you do get the high school coach to go, suddenly you better play for the feeder team.
Right.
Don't not do that. Like, don't get in there and then like, no, I ain't gonna do this. I ain't telling you to do all that.
Right.
Do something else though too.
Right.
Do something else too. So play for the feeder team, and you look at the divisions. Find the select team. Find a select team that plays on the opposite weekends.
Right.
There's a lot of good ones out here. Call your coach like, hey, we don't play for a whole month.
Right.
You have some select games. Shoot, we got 2 tournaments, and we're gonna have some skill work training 2-3 times a week. Cool. Thanks for getting me ready for high school tryouts, 8th grade or 7th grade tryouts. But to go cold and there's nothing there for months, it's not a good look, because they tell them they're forcing you. They're not telling you just to play for them. They're saying make them a priority.
Go get some reps.
Make them a priority but it doesn't mean the weeks you ain't doing nothing. You got other stuff you can do.
Well, we got kids that play both. They play with us and then they play with a feeder program, and that's cool. What we're saying is it's not your only path, y'all. Don't ever let them tell you that there's only one path to make this high school team, because even at the end of the day, they're going to take 10.
Yeah.
And if you're not in that top 10, you might be a top 10 at somebody else's school.
Yeah.
So give yourself that opportunity. But the other side is you still got to get your skills up. You still got to focus on that piece of it. And so being on a feeder team isn't going to jump the line for you.
Yep.
And I think that's the piece of it. Like I said, a lot of parents really, really, really put too much weight behind these feeder team games. We're playing games at JCC. We're playing games here. We're playing games there. That game is not make or break. This is not some 90s or 80s movie. This game isn't for all the marbles. Your game in the middle of April at some random tournament in the middle of the city on a random Saturday isn't the end all be all, unless you let it be the end all be all.
I think we get comfortable too, because if that feeder team is right by the high school, it makes sense.
It's convenient.
Easy. Monday nights, you're free, sweet. So you get to practice there. Thursday, we're free, so we go out there. It makes sense, but that eventually may not make sense for development. It may not make sense because you know what? That kid that you think is just doing a team, I might see them online going vertical.
Right.
And the other kid that you said he's just doing a feeder team, maybe coming to us. I still want to be in this mix because I am going to high school.
Right.
3 weeks, I probably need to go play with my boys on the gold team for this program.
Let's keep it up. If the feeder team is not running the same system the high school is running, which I have one very specific feeder team in mind that is on my mind when I say this, where they're not running the same system. The coaches that are volunteer coaches, they're all running their own systems, but they're a feeder team for this specific program, and they wonder why they can't get anybody through the feeder system that knows how to play ball the way that they want them to play ball. You, as the parent, are empowered to say, this don't look the same.
Right.
This doesn't, they're not playing defense the same. Their offensive set is different than what the high school runs. They're not teaching the system that the high school runs. So what are we feeding them into? Make sure you're not feeding them into a meat grinder.
Right.
Make sure you're not feeding their dreams into, where high school is like, well, we never get anything from the feeder team anyway, so we don't use them. This fly is getting more aggressive.
Man.
It's getting more aggressive as we go throughout the day. Right. Anyway, we're keeping it real with y'all. And some of these feeder programs, they just want to win the medals. Feels good to win medals. Everybody likes you when you're the coach that wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's great when you're the winning coach and parents are smiling at you, the kids are smiling at you, posting the pictures with your number one, you have your little gold and everything up. You took the bronze division. And now you're trying to get on a high school team.
That game is so different.
Don't watch.
It's so different. It's so fast. The grind is, I'm telling you, the most challenging year I ever had as a coach. And shout out to the kids who are on that team. It was Ami, Jay, Spears, Jordan, Tony, Ryder, Dez, Evan, and Hayden. Because everybody's on that team. And we went to the gauntlet.
Right.
We moved up a level. And we kept moving up.
Right.
And we were getting smacked. And everybody's like looking around, like, this is 2 levels up. Mm-hmm. This is how we got to do. And they figured it out. And they figured that they adjusted. And they figured it out. And they got better. And they got better. And they got better. And those athletes that I named, okay? I was a varsity player. Jay's a varsity player. As is a varsity player. JB, varsity. Stone and Ryder, varsity players. We took it, and Jordan definitely a varsity. I think he's back to soccer. Yep. Right? Hell of an athlete. But we took it, and we stood with it. We weren't a feeder team.
Right.
I have a 4-year starter in my house, a 4-year varsity player in my house. Too. It's not the brag. I also have 20 or 30 other kids just like that.
Right.
That made it get through our program. Might have went through another program that was select on the weekends where they didn't have to favor school. They're not knocking it hard. Like I said, if the feeder team is saying this helps, or we're doing the same system, we're running the same plays, sweet. But on this gap for 3 months, what do you do?
Well, and that's the thing. We're a development first program. Yeah. And so we're going to put the development before we put a bunch of games and stuff.
Right.
But when we do play games, we try to make sure they're either at level or above level. We're not playing down. Our, third, fourth graders this weekend, they were playing kids that were almost a foot taller than them in some cases.
And we asked. And we didn't put that. We asked.
It was rough.
A lot of teams sandbag. We did that. I'll be honest. Y'all was. You sandbag. Let's be honest. Like, there's kids that were my height.
But they were out there playing with those bigger kids. Right. And that we do that enough times, those kids are going to get used to playing and competing against kids that are bigger than them. And by the time they get to grade level, it's going to be lights out.
Right.
So this is what we're saying. And, I want to get into this piece of it because we've had parents that step to us with this. Well, they can just go play with their friends at the Y. No, that's not what we're saying. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Find a way that, even if it's not a feeder team, find a program that's playing at the level that you want your kid to be at. Find a program that's developing at the level you want your kid to be at and get them there. Even if it's self-directed, find a way to train at level so they can play at the level, compete at the level they want to be. Do not drop them. Don't just take them and drop them in the
The
water.
dream is to continue to try to play high school basketball, unless that's your choice. That's what you want to do.
Don't want to play competitive.
Yeah, for the weekend, they just want to play at 10 o'clock every Saturday with their friends. Cool.
Perfect.
They got that for you.
That's not going to make this team. That's not going to make a high school team.
No. If you want to go back and make a team, you gotta work at it.
So anyway, I know we're sitting here looking like ODB doing all this other stuff with these flies flying around us. That's all we got. If you have any questions, we're going to stay live for a couple more minutes. If you have questions regarding making feeder teams or what to do when you don't make the team, I'm praying that what to do when you don't make the team actually had audio, because there were some jewels in there. If not, Mo and I will be back.
There's two of them.
Yeah, there's two flies right here. Mo and I.
The garage is open sometime.
If we didn't get the audio on that first part, we're gonna come back with what to do when you don't make the team. We're gonna try it one more again and make sure that it comes in, because there was a lot of stuff in there. Oh man, that thing flew in my mouth. What is happening? There's a lot of stuff that we talked about on the first part of this that we feel like you guys need to hear. Right. But we do appreciate your time. If you have any questions about making a team, what it takes when you don't make the team, or any questions about feeder programs or whatnot, give us a shout right now. Drop it in the chat and let us know. We'll try to answer them on stream. We're going to wrap up here in probably about 10 minutes.
And then while we're waiting, any questions like that too, let them know what we have coming up with tryouts. And
tryouts are going to be June 28th, 6 to 8. We're doing tryouts for our fall and winter teams. This is going to be for all of our teams, but fall and winter. If you can't make tryouts, let us know.
Yeah. We have a sign-up link that's going around. I love it because there's people that are
taking the initiative, signing up,
that are actually playing for us. This is for the grades you're going to go into in the fall. If you finish 4th grade, you are trying out for a 5th grade team in the fall. 8th graders, you're with high school, so you're not playing with us in the fall. You're playing with your high school. But what we are telling kids, and we're telling people that, like, you want to stay in our program, or you need help finding another program for the spring next year that works with you, the conversation probably needs to be had now, so the coaches can invite you back for at least a tryout now, so we can prepare. We may not have 5 teams for that, but we might have 2.
Right.
So we're letting you know now. We can tell you now we're going to have 2.
Right.
And there's 20 kids, so if there's 70 kids left over, we can give you suggestions for other programs and all that, because we absolutely want kids to get on the floor. And one thing you'll find out about what we do is we do connect with a lot of the other coaches around, and there's no that weird ego, weird sweat too. It's just like, I'll call coaches, hey, you got a spot for a couple? Like I had a couple girls come to me that were 4th grade. We're building our program of girls. I don't have 4th grade girls.
Right.
So, I called up the Keys program with you, and Marquise, she really did really great. Just, hey, I have spots for those girls there. Those 2 girls can play. Those 2 can play. Because I don't have 4th grade girls.
Right.
Make them play 3 grades up. There's a program that can do that. So just let us know. So the trials will be for boys this time.
Yeah.
Reach out to us if you have girls that are 6 through 8.
So we can coordinate with Coach Jeremy.
We have teams that are doing so. Coach Jeremy can get to you and set up a tryout or walk through, whatever they do. So we have that.
And to mention what we were talking about earlier, we are trying to design a program for kids that don't make a team. Mm-hmm. And we got to figure out what grade levels and who would be interested in that. So it'll be a year commitment to our basketball academy program. And it's going to be intense. And we're going to try to put down some of the same expectations that you will have on some of these teams that you're trying to make, or the team that you didn't make. And so, but that's not going to come around till like November-ish after these tryouts. Like, you got to know that you didn't make the team, and then we'll set up something. And it's going to be limited access, first come, first serve. And so it's something that we're excited about, but we got to get the coach. We got to figure out the coaching and who's going to run it, and we need to figure out what grade levels.
The one thing I will say, as you guys are going through the process, and I hope it did record, but I will say this: from Coach Bo and mine is there is no guarantee that you will make a high school team.
Yeah.
There's no. There are good ideas if you were the Gatorade Player of the Year and you're a 6'5", 5-star athlete, you will make your team. There's no reason you would not make your team. You're dropping 40 points a game. A freshman coming in with a bunch of kids, not saying you're not a good player, don't say anything there, but if you don't have the accolades, you haven't really proven, there's no guarantee. So don't let anybody tell you. The only thing I can tell you right now, with it being June, with your high school workouts, show up on time, work hard, communicate, just try to learn the system as best as you can.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
If you ain't on the team, it ain't optional.
No, you got to do it.
If you're not on the team, if you are not on the high school team, your workouts are not optional. They're optional for players that are already on the team.
Right.
If you're not on the team, those workout sessions are 100% non-optional for you. You are not at that point until you make the team. And even when you make the team, sometimes you got to go with the mentality like optional workouts are optional for people that don't want to be on the team.
Sometimes you got to be humbled. Like humble. Just got to listen. Like I talked to a couple of coaches. We were talking about it a month ago, and there was kids close to me, coaches close to me, and they're like, "Man, I got to see these 2-3 people." I'm like, "Man, they grinding, they working away." But you know what? If you're not at what the high school's asking you to do, how do I know? How do I know? And that was good information for me to come on. Like, you know what? Even as a coach, that is great information. I gotta remember, like, yeah, they probably haven't seen you. Oh man, I've been at the lead center grinding, but the coach isn't there from your high school.
Right.
You know, what you can do is go to that non-optional workout
right.
at 7 to 8, do the open gym from 8 to 9, then go to the lead center if you feel like you need to really do it. But honestly, if you're working super hard in that thing there, you might maybe take a little break.
Pull the coach aside and say, what do you need from me?
Yeah. So right now, it's you do everything.
You're pushing the action.
We do everything. And parents, you can't help it. You can remind them. You can put it on the calendar. You can drive them there. But
you're not going to want it more than them.
No.
You cannot. Here's what I'm going to tell you. And I got to be real with y'all. You cannot want it more than them. That's the piece of advice we have to give you. You cannot. You absolutely cannot, 100% cannot want it more than the player. There hasn't been a player, like, was it the bionic quarterback back in the day at the Raiders, and he washed out because his dad wanted it more than he did. You aren't going through force of will. You are not going to get your kid into the pros through your own force of will. They have to want it. As much as we got sick of seeing LeVar Ball on TV, his boys wanted it.
They did want it.
They wanted it for themselves.
He's a smart businessman. Like, the guy has 2 kids in the NBA.
Right.
He did it. The door or not. I mean, that's successful. It's successful, but those boys also earn. You don't walk into the NBA because somebody's talking for you.
Right.
You still have to play the game.
Right. You're not going to bully this kid into being the player that you want him to be if they don't have it within them.
That's the conversation. Is this something you want to do?
Yeah.
Hey, son. Hey, daughter. Is this something you want to do? I'm asking you again at the end of the week. You don't like, you missed 3 mandatory workouts. Is it something you really want to do? Nah, I'm actually cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Now I know.
We talked with a friend of ours this morning. Her son's waking her up at 5 a.m. Get up, let's go. Let's go work out. Let's go. I got workouts. I got to be there at 5 a.m. Yep. It's summertime here. Kids are out of school. He's up and getting it done.
Yep.
That's the kind of dedication, the grind the kid's going to have, and it's got to be motivated by them. Now, leading up to it, 7th, 8th grade, yeah, you might have to push them a little bit.
Yep.
But once they get to the high school level, if they want to play, they're going to be the ones pushing the action.
Right.
You cannot do it for them.
Right.
It's not going to work through force of will.
I used to tell my kids, I get a woman like, hey, listen, I used to tell you, it's like, do you want grandma and everybody to come to the game and see you on the floor or not? Tell me now. Right. Tell me now. Because if you haven't been working hard on this, I'm not coming to the game like, you should probably be on a freshman B game if you've worked hard If you have not, you're still not playing at the freshman year level. I don't know if I want to go.
And you might need to look at another sport. There are other sports out there. If you want to play sports, basketball ain't the only world out there. And here's the reality: basketball, like we're talking about for younger kids, basketball and soccer have some similar skill sets that do translate. You can go play soccer. If you're a soccer player and it ain't working for you, and you got a little bit of a handle, you might want to look over and see what your basketball team is doing. There's a bunch of soccer players. So the skills do translate. But again, it goes back to checking in and being realistic with yourself and get in where you fit in. If the coach needs you to be this kind of player and you are stubbornly like, well, I'm this kind of player, you're not going to win it through force of will. Either you got to try to be the kind of player the coach wants to be, or you got to go find another school.
Yep.
So, again, we're still open for questions, but we're going to be wrapping this thing up. I am praying that our first segment got recorded with audio. If not, you're going to see our smiling faces here again next week to lay it down, because there was a lot of gold in there. And realistically, that might give us a practice rep so that we can come back and really laser in on that conversation.
Right.
Because that was a good conversation that we had, and I did enjoy that piece of it. Right. So that's what we're presenting. We're having tryouts for our fall and winter programs. I do have to put this caveat in there. If you're going to participate in our fall and winter programs, I need you to understand this. We are a development program. We are not just a team for you to show up and play basketball. We expect that you show up to our academy sessions. We have them twice a week.
Yep.
We have speed and agility night at academy, which is on Tuesdays. Speed and agility sessions on the weekends. Sometimes the weekend ones don't go because we might be on the road. But the Tuesday ones are steady ones.
Okay.
So we're looking at it. If you want to try out for the team, we would love to have you. You have to be willing to work and develop and become a better player by showing up to our academy sessions. You're going to have a practice session for your individual team, probably once weekly. And for the first month or two, we're going to expect you to come speed, agility, and conditioning so that we can make sure that you have the footwork and the endurance to play this fall and winter.
The program works.
Right.
So, like, every blue moon, I'll get the one person that I feel, and I do, and I feel, and I'm open to listen to you, but for like a second, because then I look around, I'm like, it's worked for several years. Mm-hmm. So, we're not saying we're not open to feedback. We're very open to feedback, but it's really hard to take feedback when you don't show up to anything.
Don't show up to anything. Well, and it's from the old personal trainer. Coach Mo's heard this before. Yeah. It's very hard when you get the special butterfly that there's nothing works for them.
Yeah.
Oh, I tried, I have a weight loss goal. Well, I tried to restrict my calories. It doesn't work for me. My metabolism sucks. I got this, I got that. I got other things going on.
Right.
I showed up to all the academy sessions and showed up to all the other sessions, and I didn't get better. Really? It doesn't work like that. If you show up and show out and do the stuff that we're asking you to do, you're going to get incrementally better. Now, if you're not practicing outside of here, you're not working outside of here, you're not watching games outside of here, there's a ceiling on how much you're going to advance. But if you do the things that we ask you to do, our system has been in place for 8 years. We've helped a lot of kids become better players. We got kids right now that are getting looks from all over the city, and other teams are wanting them. And when they came to us, they had a very loose understanding of how basketball was played. And now one very specific young man, he's playing up.
Yeah.
And he is one of our best players. And he absolutely showed up to everything, showed out to everything, and he developed.
Simple. You write up on some of our players when they get to high school. Footwork, speed,
If you do the stuff we're asking you to do, the goal is you're going to be a better player. But if you only do part of it, you're not going to bake the same cake with half the ingredients, right? So I don't know why people think that they're going to not do the things that have been successful for everybody else, but it's just not successful for you. And a lot of times it's look at what your inputs are. Are you putting the right thing in to get the result out? Well, if you're not putting the same inputs in, if I type in different numbers into a calculator and hit the plus button, I'm going to get a different sum at the end of the time.
Right.
But if we're all putting in the same numbers, in the same intervals, and pressing plus, we're all going to get the same numbers. We're going to get the same outputs.
Right.
If you're not putting in the same outputs, you can't expect to win. So, what kind of outputs are you putting in? What kind of effort are you putting in? We have a structured program to do it. We're not the only option.
Right.
But we do have a structured program that has proven to be successful for a lot of players that come through. And so for us, it's a matter of making sure that we are making sure the inputs are right to get the outputs that you want. So that's what we got. I'm Brian.
Let's go slow.
Tryouts for our fall and winter programs are on June 28th. I posted the link. You should see the link in the comments. I'm going to star it, so hopefully it pins it to the top of the comments. We'll see you there. That's all I got. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.